I'd like to talk about advice for aspiring leaders that are really seeking to master this skill. Sharon, what advice do you have?
So my advice would be, in an age where we do a lot of recordings of calls, I would start with that. It's a great look at yourself in the mirror to see yourself speak, answer questions. I still do it today. Every time I present, which I do every Monday in front of the executive committee, it's important for me to go back to evaluate everything and above, right? How I was presenting, to how I answered the questions, to how swiftly I might have moved through the presentation based on the time I was allotted. I would also say that reach out to trusted advisors that you have within your organization or outside your organization with mentors, that you may have a very important presentation coming up and you just want to have them listen to you and give you objective feedback, particularly if it's a larger audience and that you might not know the audience as well. I would get different mentors and a different perspective so I can see how they're viewing me. So I would give those as the 2 top tips.
Excellent. Anything to add, Amy?
I think my advice is pretty similar. I would just go back to the preparation and practice piece of it. And that is even I have people practice using the audio voice memo on their phone as a tool to listen back to their answer. So they get to be the questioner and the ask and the answerer in that way. And while it's weird to hear yourself, it helps remove the stress of like a video or something where then you're suddenly analyzing everything else. But it's a way to hear, am I coming across polished? Do I have the clear example in there to that response? And then certainly to piggyback on what Sharon was just saying, I think making sure that you're checking in ahead of time with people that are going to be in the meeting to say, hey, I'm really working on this skill. I would love your feedback on how I respond to questions. And if we could just have a quick 15 minutes exchange in the days that follow, that would really be helpful to me. And I think that people actually like to be helpful. They don't even have to be your manager. It could be a colleague that can just give you that little bit of feedback that can help reinforce what you're doing well and then help you upgrade and notice the things you still need to improve.
So true. That is such a great point. There's no way of getting around the fact that doing this well takes confidence. Dan, any advice for developing that confidence, not only to be an effective presenter, but to hold your own in the moment?
I was a little bit lucky to come into the communications realm from a local news background where I was live quite a bit and didn't really have the option to stop talking, and you had to stick to the facts and stick to what your reporting has borne out throughout the day or the week. But when it comes to confidence and public speaking and things like that, one thing that I will always remain is curious. I want to ask questions of the audience. I want them to feel like I value their presence more than I want them to value mine. I want to connect, whether it's through body language or through, if it's virtual, just kind of letting them know, like, I am interested in what you are getting out of this. I want to make sure that you find value in this workshop, in this presentation. But for the actual communicating itself, I love the idea of recording yourself and listening back. As difficult as that is for a lot of people, myself included, it really is where I have made the most strides, whether it's from video or audio. Hearing or watching yourself, you immediately learn what you don't like about the way you communicate. Whether it's, I hate the way that I kept, my tick of scratching my sideburn, or the way that I said or like, too much, which I'm going to watch this back and I certainly will probably critique myself. But it is, you have to accept that you're not perfect and that it's never going to be 100% what you wanted it to be. And presenting your best self, telling the truth, and, sticking to the person that was booked for this speaking engagement or for this meeting. Like, you are there for a reason. And that is something that has taken me a long time throughout my own career to accept that I belong here. And, there's a reason I'm here. And, sometimes I have to remind myself that, even in this very meeting, as I was sitting here with executives, and, it can be intimidating sometimes, but there's a reason that you are where you are. And the communication part of it, I think, comes from a genuine curiosity and a genuine, appreciation for the actual back and forth. And I'm learning a lot here in this setting today just by listening and taking notes. And, I try to do that wherever I am. I try to take lessons from every back and forth I have with an audience. But the confidence, I think, is something that you have to very intentionally approach that. You have to, try to measure each time, like, after the fact, I was, say, a 6 out of 10 on that one. I want to be a 7.5 or an 8 next time. You try to measure, set goals, and that mark your own improvement. And if it's not improving the way that you want or envision, take stock of it. Ask a mentor, ask a colleague, what do you think I could do to, accelerate my improvement, or just to fine tune a few things?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dan. One of the things I'm really struck by is I'm having the pleasure of talking to 3 people who are very, very experienced and accomplished speakers. And I'm hearing that all of you still invest time in improving. I always liken it to Steph Curry. He's arguably one of the best basketball players in the world. And wow, the amount of time he invests in practicing. And this skill has so much impact on how you're perceived and therefore your overall success. So practice, practice, practice.